Every good fictional world needs a spin-off. Am I right? Better Call Saul, World of Warcraft, Puss in Boots, and now, Temtem Swarm. Okay, so maybe it's unfair to compare this brand new, early access release to those bona fide classics. But developer Crema is attempting to take the world established in their popular online creature collector and apply it to the bullet heaven fad kicked off by Vampire Survivors. It's an interesting premise. After all, so many of Temtem's mechanics, techniques, gear, experience, and leveling up map cleanly to a genre all about growth and synergies. But did Crema nail that endorphin-producing power fantasy that makes Swarm Survivors oh so fun? Let's find out. If you've played Vampire Survivors, Brotato, Halls of Torment, or any of the other countless bullet heaven games that have entered the market over the last few years, then you already know how Temtem Swarm plays. You control a Temtem, moving around a map while automatically performing techniques to take out swarms of enemy Temtems. Defeated foes drop experience cubes, and after collecting enough, you level up, granting the option to select a new technique, a new piece of gear providing a passive buff, or an upgrade to something currently equipped. As you become stronger, so do the enemy ranks. And if you can survive for 15 minutes, the final boss will arrive, providing one last test of your strength and mettle. Beyond aesthetics, Temtem Swarm does little to differentiate itself in terms of core gameplay. There are a few clever translations of creature collector mechanics. Techniques have a type, like water, fire, or poison, and some buffs only apply to one type. Certain Temtems can evolve after reaching the appropriate level, providing a noticeable increase to their stats. But largely, gameplay feels by the book. If anything, Temtem Swarm struggles to recreate the genre's most satisfying elements. For example, the power curve feels far too shallow. In Vampire Survivors, the difference between your power level from the beginning to the end of a run is stark. You may start by throwing a knife every few seconds, but by the end, you're an unstoppable killing machine, firing dozens of projectiles every second. In Temtem Swarm, even on my cleanest of runs, I never felt close to fulfilling that power fantasy. It's hard to pinpoint exactly why. Maybe it's the long technique cooldowns, maybe it's upgrades that only incrementally improve stats. It's likely a combination of several factors, but the reality remains that Temtem Swarm's core gameplay is missing that it factor, and may disappoint players coming from other bullet heaven games. That's not to say that Temtem Swarm isn't fun. I enjoyed moving around the maps and taking out the hordes of Temtem bearing down on me. My choices when leveling up felt important and impactful, especially early on when I was establishing the techniques and gear I would build around. I appreciated being able to aim certain techniques, and having two active abilities in the form of a dash and ultimate, which gave me a little more to do with my hands than just controlling the left analog stick. Plus, I found the roughly 20-minute runs to be the perfect length for me, enough to get invested in a build without things getting too repetitive. Oh, and the boss fights that cap off each run are awesome. This is all amplified by the amazing artwork. I'm sure Crema is reusing all sorts of assets from Temtem, but they've done an excellent job adjusting them to fit a perspective that's almost top-down, especially the dazzling technique animations. This is, without a doubt, the best-looking Swarm Survivor I've played. The soundtrack, composed by Damien Sanchez, is absolutely stellar as well. If you are a fan of Temtem, I think you'll enjoy this action-centric take on your favorite creatures that looks and sounds as good as the source material. Temtem Swarm also has a deep and interesting meta progression system. First, each playable Temtem has their own skill tree where you can spend Pansons, acquired in your runs, on upgrades specific to that Temtem. There are a few substantial skills, like the dash ability and skill rerolls, but most are passive buffs and stat increases. It's not the most compelling skill tree, but each upgrade is meaningful. I went back and played the easiest map after completing 1/4 of Platypet's skill tree, and immediately could tell just how overpowered for that a level I had become. Many skills start locked behind Kudos, Temtem Swarm's in-game achievement system. Currently, there are 342 Kudos to complete, with rewards including additional Pansons and unlocking new gear and techniques for future runs. The majority of these can be achieved just by playing, but many will require going out of your way to attain, such as surviving the final boss without evolving or using your ultimate ability 15 times in a single run. For the most part, I really like these systems. They create a satisfying sense of progression and provide plenty of incentive to choose different Temtems each run and try different playstyles and builds. Early runs felt a bit repetitive due to the limited gear and techniques available, but it didn't take long before I achieved enough kudos and unlocked new options to introduce greater variety into my runs. There are a few quirks that make it difficult to interact with the meta progression though. The UI is a mess. Kudos are displayed as hexagonal tiles across a single map, but it's incredibly difficult to navigate, especially when using a controller. Most kudos start hidden and require achieving an adjacent kudo to even see what the unlock requirement is, which is frustrating when you have part of a Temtem skill tree restricted without knowing how to unlock it. And half the kudos are currently marked as coming soon, which is fine, this is early access, but they pollute an already difficult to parse screen. Frustrations aside, there is a lot of content here for an early access launch. Between the 7 playable Temtems, 5 stages of increasing difficulty and rewards, and hundreds of kudos to unlock, there are hours of entertainment to be had already. There's plenty more on the way as well, and I think it'll be fun to see how Temtem Swarm evolves over its early access period. It also supports online co-op for up to 3 players, a key differentiator. Unfortunately, there is currently no matchmaking. You need a password to join someone's lobby, so I didn't get the chance to try out multiplayer, but I suspect I would enjoy passing the time with friends in Temtem Swarm the same way I have in games like Diablo 4 and World of Warcraft. I had fun with Temtem Swarm. There's nothing especially innovative or groundbreaking, but it is a fantastic looking swarm survivor that does an excellent job of capturing the spirit of Temtem. With plenty of additional content on the way, and a ton of kudos left to achieve and skills left to unlock, I can see myself revisiting this game off and on throughout its early access period, especially with friends or on the Steam Deck. If you are a Bullet Heaven fan, I fear Swarm's slow gameplay and shallow power curve may be deal breakers. However, for fans of Temtem, I believe this presents an enjoyable new way to interact with your favorite creatures at a reasonable price point. Temtem Swarm launched into early access on November 13th and is currently available on Steam. Thank you for watching. I'm a partnered creator with Minimap, who is kind enough to provide me with the code for this review. Minimap is the ultimate gaming app. It allows you to track all of your games and achievements in one place thanks to its Game Sync feature that works with PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and Steam. You can also share updates and reviews with a small but passionate and growing community. I'm a data nerd, so I love everything Minimap allows me to track, like what systems I own a game on and total hours played. And I've discovered so many great games through reading community posts and reviews. This isn't a paid advertisement, I just really like the Minimap app and community and want to see it grow. So if you are interested, check out the link in the description. And to see more of my game reviews, please subscribe. Okay, thank you, bye!